Thank you very much, Leader. I will try and end proceedings very soon. But I want to take you back, and I hope members will permit me. I want to take you back to the economy. Since Leader raised the economy issue. I want to know how you are going to help your minister in trying to resolve the food inflation situation that we have in this country and we've had for the last 8 years. If you look at the inflation numbers, and this is a fact, if you look at the component of inflation that is described as food inflation, it's been the chunk of the inflation numbers that we've had for the last 8 years. When we got to the dizzy height of inflation, and that is in 2022, when inflation was hovering around 54%, the biggest component of that inflation was food inflation. Today, as inflation is coming down, and it's not down enough, again, the biggest chunk of that inflation is food inflation. What that clearly tells you, and economists or whoever, statisticians or whoever you engage will tell you, is that we are not providing sufficient food for ourselves. Here, I'm segregating the inflation, the food inflation, to domestic food and food that comes from outside. And they are both affected by inflation. But the chunk of that inflation, that is food inflation, is also a domestic food inflation, which clearly tells you that as a country, we have food insecurity. We are not, that is for the last 8 years. The government has just come in. So they will have nothing to do with food insecurity at this stage. So for the last 8 years, and this is, you may address yourself as the budget is coming very soon. With the budget for the last 8 years, which we have here in Parliament, and you will notice that food inflation has persistently been high for the last 8 years. I will add this so I don't make it two separate questions. Now, you move away from inflation, which is to do with the economy, into growth, which is also to do with the economy. You will also realize that the growth of Ghana's economy, if you break it down, the food inflation has been declining for the last 8 years. Even now, that growth is going up. When you look at the curve, the food component of the growth. Chairman, we have had 2 hours to make progress. I'm using 10 minutes to make my progress. Right. So, I just want to find out from you, since we have this serious challenge with inflation in terms of food inflation, and with growth in terms of food insecurity, can you assure us that you will support your minister, who I know is very passionate with food inflation, to help us reduce the inflation component that is to do with food, and I mean domestic food, food grown in Ghana, not imported food? Thank you.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, I would support my minister to do that. Thank you.
Sorry, I was trying to engage my leader here in a minor negotiation. And nominee, you have given me the assurance. You have, please, my leader interrupted me. So can you give your answer again, if you don't mind?
Yes, please. I've given the assurance together with my boss, the substantive minister.
I don't know whether to call this an ambush or not, but no. I will reluctantly yield. Is Dr. Isaac Yao Opoku here? And Honorable Henry Osaya Kutu is also here. Honorable Frimpon is also here. I just want to make sure.
Honorable Frimpon is not there.
Please. We've been here for quite a while. I just want to make sure we wrap this up. I have granted, what the leader has said. I just wanted to make sure the members that we are talking about are actually here in the room. Okay, I will start with Dr. Isaac Yao Opoku. You have the floor.
Thank you very much, Chairman. Chairman, how many questions am I entitled to? 3?
Yes, 3.
Okay.
Why you like that?
Yes, Mr. Nominee, congratulations.
Thank you.
My first question, I hope you are familiar with cocoa. My first question, there are disturbing reports that some farmers are giving their cocoa farms out to illegal miners, what we call the galamsey. Apart from the promise that the minister made, the cocoa farmers will be paid 70% of the world market price. Apart from that, what other measures will you put in place to ensure that farmers do not offer their cocoa farms to galamseyers?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I know that the answer that my boss gave was one of the best answers to solve, or one of the best solutions to solve this problem. Giving the cocoa farmers the right price will deter them from selling their cocoa farms. The second one is also to restructure or structure the whole mining industry well, so that wherever they mine, they will not be able to affect these cocoa farms. But I think that the main one is about pricing, and that's what my boss suggested, and that's what the NDC will do. Thank you.
Follow-up question. So when should farmers expect the 70% payment?
Mr. Chairman, normally with the commencement of the new farming season, which is in October, that's when they review the prices. But I'm in no position to commit myself when it comes to the commencement of the new prices.
The previous government reviewed the producer price in between. After the opening of the cocoa season, the price was reviewed in between. So are you telling cocoa farmers that the new price will not be announced until the new season?
Mr. Chairman, in consultation with my boss, we'll be able to give the right answer at the appropriate time.
All right, Chairman, still on cocoa. There are a lot of discussions.
Is that your second question?
Yeah, my second question, Chairman.
All right, thank you.
There are a lot of discussions about the involvement of the private sector in the external marketing of cocoa. What is your position on that?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, we have to be very innovative when it comes to the cocoa sector. And if that would improve our market share, if that will improve our export, if that will improve our whole cocoa industry, then that will be a very good suggestion. But like I always say, I would have to consult my boss, and we'll see the right solution for this problem. Thank you.
Chairman, my last question. I've gone through your manifesto, and it appears the manifesto is elaborate on crops, production of crops, and also to some extent on poultry production. But when it comes to ruminants, it's very scanty. Does it mean that you are going to neglect the production of ruminants? Because poultry, protein intake in Ghana is very low. And the poultry industry has also suffered. So if the concentration is only on poultry, how sure are you that the intake of protein in Ghana, can increase? Because if you look at what the FAO recommends, we are far, far, far below. But your manifesto doesn't address the production of meat adequately. What assurance can you give to Ghanaians when it comes to animal production?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. One of the things we are going to do is to well equip our breeding centers, our livestock breeding centers. In the past, they haven't really been equipped, and what we are going to do is to really equip them. And an example is bringing in new breeding the livestock and letting it out into the particular district. And so we'll try as much as possible to decentralize the breeding centers so that more people can have access to the new breeds that are available for us to have multiple production going on.
I think I'm going to move on to Honorable Osei Akoto. He's done, leader. Please, you have the floor.
Thank you very much, Mr. Chairman, and also giving me the opportunity. Respectively, my name is Seth Osei Akoto, not Henry. Seth Osei Akoto, respectively. That's my name. Yes. Okay. Thank you. Okay. Thank you. Honorable nominee, congratulations.
Thank you.
You have just indicated to us that along the line, your passion has driven you into certain areas, including agriculture. Now, I consider you as a practitioner in the agriculture sector. So far, can you tell us or share with us the 3 most difficult challenges you have faced as a practitioner in agriculture? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. The first challenge is access to credit. Access to credit for me to be able to expand. The second challenge is our land tenure system. Sometimes you go to certain places, you negotiate for the land, they give you the go-ahead. After a year or two, when they realize that everything is going on well, they'll tell you that they want their land back. And this problem is not just peculiar to me, but peculiar to other farmers. The third one is also lack of machinery. The raining season is just about to start. What happens is that sometimes before you book a tractor, it can take you months before the tractor is able to come to your field to plow. And before that, the rainy season is over. And so sometimes these are the challenges that I face and other farmers face. And so in my whole life of being a farmer, these are some of the challenges I've faced. But the most important one is access to credit. Thank you.
Mr. Chair, follow up. The credit.
Very well.
When the minority leader was asking you some questions, he did mention about women's banking. Do you think with that you can be able to address some of the challenges in agriculture? Thank you.
Yes, please, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you very much. Second question,
Yes,
Mr.
please.
Chair. Recently, there's a publication at the World Bank's website that is indicating that there will be food insecurity in West and Central African countries, including Ghana. Leader has also made mention about food inflation. How do you marry the two to avert such calamity in Ghana? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Recently, the Ministry of Food and Agriculture launched the Irrigation for Wealth Creation, and that is to irrigate over 10,000 hectares of land. Now, what that means is that once we're able to irrigate with over 10,000 hectares of land, there's going to be more food. There's going to be food all year round. And so, yes, even though the World Bank has said that there might be some food shortages in the next coming years, we hope and pray that in the next coming years also we'll increase the acreage from 10,000 to possibly to 25 or 30,000 to be able to farm all year round and to affect such a problem, to avert such a problem. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Mr. Chair, follow up. You made a mention about irrigation.
Hold on. You said a follow-up?
Yes.
I thought the last one was your follow-up.
A follow-up.
Earlier, okay, so this is your follow-up for the second
Yes,
question.
for the second question, please.
Okay, please go ahead.
You made mention about irrigation. As a practitioner, have you done some calculations to know how much to put land under irrigation, even for 1 hectare or 2 hectares? So how do you bring 10,000 hectares under irrigation in the short term? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, when it comes to irrigation, there are so many factors that come into play. The type of the land, the type of the water, and the type of the soil. But most especially the type of land. And so, yes, there's been some form of calculation that has gone on. But the main aim or our primary concern right now is to be able to get water onto the land for us to be able to feed our plants. And that is the main aim. It might cost us, but at the long run, if you just pose that to hunger, I think it's definitely worth it.
Thank you, Honorable Nominee. My last question. As a country, there's influx of food imported into the country. How would you support the Honorable Minister to be able to bring incidence of food importation into our economy? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. If I may give an example like tomatoes, we do import a lot of tomatoes from our neighboring countries. And so what we realize is that normally during the dry season, that is when we import more tomatoes than usual. And so with the implementation of this irrigation scheme, we'll be able to farm all year round and reduce the importation. That's one. The second one is when you look at the Nkukon Kitinkiti project, we are trying as much as possible to make Ghanaians eat what we grow in Ghana and make it affordable. And hopefully that will decrease the food import bill. Thank you so much.
Mr. Chair, I'm done. Thank you very much. And then I wish Honorable Nominee the best of luck. Thank you.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I will now move to Honorable Frimpong. Yeah, Honorable, you have the floor.
Yeah, thank you, Mr. Chairman. John, congratulations on your nomination. And I will ask you just a few questions. John, you are going to a ministry where a lot of work has been documented. what do you know about the PFJ1 document and PFJ2 documents?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. I do know about the PFJ1 and the PFJ2. What I can say is that I haven't read much into it, but what I can also say is that there will be some form of review to continue those that we have to continue and discontinue, or even modify some of the things that we have to do, because this is the agricultural space. Irrespective of how we coin it or name it, people have to eat, and we at the Ministry of Food and Agriculture will make that there's food on the table. Thank you, Mr. Chairman.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Mr. Chairman, I asked this question because basically the name of the ministry is Food and Agriculture. It is very instructive to note that the food component is the key. So if you have these documents, that painstaking research has gone into the development of these projects. You're going there. When you get the note from Parliament to go there to support your minister, I hope you are going to read. You said you've just glanced through them. What have you noticed in them that you think could be positive to support your minister?
Honorable, please hold on a second. The nominee is a deputy minister designate to the substantive minister. He is not here to answer policy questions, so please don't ask him one. And, Mr. Nominee, you are also not to answer policy questions, because that's not what you are here for.
Thank you, sir.
Thank you. Mr. Chairman, this benevolent dictatorship, but I don't think I would take it, Mr. Chairman. No, Mr. Chairman.
I am far from a dictator.
No.
But I'm just guiding you. Please go ahead and ask your question.
Mr. Chairman, but if you say I should not ask any political...
I said any question that is a policy question,
yes,
is not what we are here for.
Oh, Mr. Chairman.
And therefore, I'm guiding you. Please, go ahead with your question. You are a special request that I have granted. Please go ahead. It's a special request I've granted.
But, Mr.
Please.
Chairman, respectfully, yes. I take a cue. Thank you so much. Yes.
I want you to draw
Thank you so much.
attention.
Mr. Chairman, I want to find out from John. I know, John, you are going to sit in an office I just left, and there's so much in that ministry. You are aware of, you just mentioned in one of the answers about food security and all that. Do you have an idea about the crops that Ghana is self-sufficient and those that Ghana is not self-sufficient?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. With self-sufficiency, I would mention maize, I would mention yam, I would mention plantain. These are just a few items that we are self-sufficient in. The self-insufficient, I would mention rice.
Can we have one vetting and one meeting, please? Please, can you put your mask on? Please. It's becoming quite noisy. We've been here for a while. We have got our guests here who have been sitting here also for a very long time. We want to wrap this up as quickly as possible. So please, honorable members, let's allow honorable member to ask his questions and allow the nominee to answer. Do not engage the nominee. He is under oath. Please. Honorable member, continue.
For the items that we don't produce that much, I would mention maize and I would mention rice. Thank you.
I just want to correct something he just said, because he mentioned maize as one of those that you are self-sufficient.
Please go ahead. Go ahead.
But you just also mentioned that you mentioned maize as one of the crops that you are not self-sufficient in. That's contradictory, so you better correct yourself. Okay, so John, you know this phenomenon of climate change affecting agriculture seriously.
Your second question, I presume.
Yeah, this is the second question.
Thank you.
And then just supposing down food crop production, what are some of the recommendations you give to your minister when giving the nod for us to circumvent the drudgery of climate change in food production? Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. When it comes to climate change, yes, it has an effect on agriculture. Quite recently, in recent times, you have excessive flooding, you have excessive drought, and so on and so forth. And this obviously has affected our food production. And so with the excessive drought, some of the solutions will be the irrigation scheme that we talked about. With the excessive floods, what we can do is to plant more trees to be able to be a shield when it comes to irrigation. And so these are some of the few things that we can do, and I'll suggest to my minister about how to tackle climate change. The last one will also be to grow food that are resistant, or have seeds that are resistant to some of these droughts or some of these climate situations here. Thank you.
Mr. Chairman, my last question. John, this is a general question. I know you're a civil engineer, right? You're a civil engineer.
No, please.
Come again?
No. Yeah.
All right. I was going to ask you if you know about the irrigation schemes that we have in this country. Do you have an idea how many irrigation schemes you have in this country?
Thank you, Mr. Chairman. Yes, we do have approximately 223 irrigation schemes in this country, out of which 189 are functional in this country. The largest one is the Pond irrigation scheme, which covers over 3,000 hectares. The second largest is the Tono one, which covers about 2,400 hectares of land.
Chairman, I'm done. John, congrats once again.
Thank you
and
so
I
much.
wish you well in the ministry.
Thank you so much, sir.
You, honorable member, this, before you go on, leader, this is a special dispensation that we have, honestly, concluded the meeting with the last names given to me by the honorable minority leader.
Don't go under 217.
I am inviting you to come in because Honorable Patricia says that she's yielded her question twice, actually. One in the leaders.
When was that?
Leader. So please go ahead.
Chairman, thank you, but it must not be on our record that it is a favor being done me. Per our standing orders, I am properly in place as a leader of this house to participate and ask questions. It's by right. And then...
not when the meeting is actually closed. I've given you a special dispensation. Please.
Thank you, Chairman. Mr. or Honorable Dumelo, I congratulate you. Chairman, he is my classmate. We study masters together at Jimpa, governance and leadership. So when it comes to his ability, I don't doubt it because we have studied together. Except that in 2019 and prior to the 2024 election, have you ever described your opponent as a bloodily widow?
Honorable member, this question was asked by the minority leader and it's been answered. You were not here. Well, you haven't got to the angle yet because so far you have repeated and you are expecting an answer from him. That I will not take as an angle. unless you add an angle to what you have said so far.
Okay, Chairman, even though that question was asked, and like I said, I wanted to lay the foundation that having known him and then being with him, I don't know he will be somebody who will say something against women. I wanted to establish the fact that because when that alleged statement was made, there was an outcry from women in society. And I wanted to lay that foundation, the person that I know, to be able to say whether he's a woman, he's a person who is actually anti-women and anti the progress of women. That's the background I wanted to lay. Are you anti-progress of women in politics?
Please, honorable member,
Please,
you have
no.
asked a question. Can you allow the nominee to answer and address the chairman, please?
Mr. Chairman, please no.
Please go ahead and answer, honorable nominee.
Mr. Chairman, please no.
So now I'll bring you back to when we were studying together. Chairman, it's okay, because the way Honorable Bye-Bye, congratulations, is saying, I don't want to go much. She wants me to say bye-bye and congratulations, but I wouldn't say that, except to say that, or to add, that if you go to the ministry, try to assist your minister. The ministry is it's big, it's huge, and you should not try to jump the gun. And also note that when you go to the ministry, you are not in your movie industry as you are. Try to be as serious as you can, so that you can be able to assist your minister to succeed. I thank you, Mr. Chairman, and I congratulate the nominee.
Thank you very much, honorable members, that we have exhausted all the questions that we have this evening. I will proceed to acknowledge. I will proceed to acknowledge the guest lists that I'm holding. And these are people who came, or friends and family who are here to support the nominee. Godfrey Ashizani, spokesperson for La Baoshi, or Baoleshi, forgive me. I know. Baoleshi, Traditional Council. And then Mrs. Gifty Dumelo, the wife of the nominee. Mrs. Caroline Edu Asumeni, Benjamin Abonyeche, Ruth Ofebia Buzia, Head of Strategic Communication, Ministry of Finance. Raphael Lutroy, Mr. John Terry Maleza, Miss Sana Boatin, Abobi Aiti, Ayawaso West Constituency Chairman. Mr. He says Abobi. Mr. Kwame Nkrumah Botio, CPP General Secretary. Dr. Felix Kamasa, President of the Ghana Producers of Vegetables and Exporters. And the last and not the least is Mr. James Gardner. I would like to thank our guests, or the guest of the nominee, for coming to support the nominee. I would like to bring the curtains to a close and say to the nominee that you are discharged. Thank you very much. And just before just before you go, please, now I have a message which is a message that was agreed between myself and the minority leader, that at the end of proceedings of yesterday and today, we have agreed by consensus of the nominees we have vetted. Thank you very much.